here's Brody Brazil.
So we have arrived here in the month of November with a Major League Baseball game tonight, and what a World Series it has been. I fully recognize if you're a fan of the Dodgers or Jays, you've recently been through a kaleidoscope of emotions. And the 6 games to get us here, like 18 innings worth of Game 3, or how Game 6 ended last night at Rogers Center. Was that baseball really lodged under the fence? And how about the double play, the rare double play from left field to end the baseball game? But whatever has happened is now in the past. Only one game matters. We've gone from a best-of-7 series to a best-of-5 to a best-of-3 to now this winner-take-all game. And really, what a good advertisement for Major League Baseball. Is kind of a David and Goliath series, but it also involves 2 countries. It involves a ton of storylines back and forth, but it really has been a great advertisement for the entertainment of watching Major League Baseball. I can't wait to see tonight how it plays out and how many people also are watching along. What I'm about to present here are some things I think you need to hear, you need to know about ahead of tonight's Game 7. This is a bit of a preview. All of the information comes from Major League Baseball's research department with MLB Network. I have curated this information to pass it along to you here in this video. Let's start with this. If the Jays win, that would mean 10 different World Series champions in the past dozen seasons. So basically, a third of the league will have won a World Series in the past 12 years if the Jays can get it done tonight. Obviously, the Dodgers are trying to go back-to-back for the first time, I think, since the Yankees did it in 2000. More on that in just a second. The Blue Jays are looking to become just the 5th team to clinch a World Series since 2009 in front of their home fans. It happens more often than not. It's been the road team since 2009, kind of a random year, but since then, 16 years ago, more than half of these teams clinch a World Series on the road. What does that mean for the Dodgers in this series tonight? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying we know how important games 6 and 7 were for the Jays in hosting them at Rogers Center. They want to take advantage of that home field, home crowd. They'd obviously love to do it in front of their home fans. The Dodgers are trying to become just the 9th team ever to win games 6 and 7 of a World Series on the road. It's been done just twice in the past 45 years. And I don't know on how many attempts, like how many times has that opportunity presented itself, but the fact that a road team to win the World Series has only taken games 6 and 7 consecutively, twice in the past 45 years, really sets the magnitude of what the Dodgers have already done by winning Game 6, right? To open this door for a Game 7. But now they've got to get the job done. We're expecting Ohtani on the mound to start the game. This is what they're up against. That type of history is what they're up against, and not a lot of teams have done what they are trying to do. The Blue Jays are an offensive machine. They've now scored 101 runs so far this postseason, only a single run in Game 6 last night, but what that did is it tied them for a single postseason record that's shared with the 2002 Angels and the 2020 Dodgers. It's a SoCal thing, I guess. They each scored 101 runs in their respective postseasons. You'd have to think the Jays are going to get on the board tonight. They're going to become the most scoring baseball team in the history of postseasons tonight with just one more run. That's all they need. Vlad Jr. has the second most hits at 28 and total bases in a single postseason. Yeah, he's been an offensive machine. He's tied for the second most homers with 8 in a single postseason. So I think what he wants most tonight is his team to win the baseball game, but Vlad Jr. individually has been a standout player in this postseason. On the flip side, Freddie Freeman is on a 17-game World Series on-base streak that's tied for the 5th longest all-time. And look at the other names that are up there on that list. And not very far ahead of him, Lou Gehrig had 23 straight games. The Bay Area's own Joe Morgan, 19 games, Phil Rizzuto at 19, and Hank Greenberg at 18. So Freddie Freeman about to join some pretty elite company if he gets on base one more time in tonight's Game 7. Again, he couldn't care less about that. He would rather sacrifice that streak if it means his Dodgers could win, but that just kind of shows you where Freddie Freeman stands in terms of a player who's being productive and getting on base in multiple World Series last year and this year in a row. Meantime, Mookie Betts is trying to become the first position player with 4 World Series rings since Derek Jeter, who's got 5, Jorge Posada, who's got 5. They added to their totals with the Yankees back in 2009. 4 World Series rings is what Mookie Betts is after, and quite honestly, if you look at where he's at, where his Dodgers are at, he'll probably be in that Jeter and Posada territory sooner than later. The Dodgers have won 10 of 13 winner-take-all postseason games since they moved out west to Los Angeles in 1958. Now, I understand that stat exists. I understand that's factual. What does it have to do with the 2025 version of the Los Angeles Dodgers? They're all built differently, all the teams and seasons and years, and baseball has changed and the opponents have changed. So I don't take a lot of stock into that historical significance, but I do want to acknowledge that it's out there. This will be the first Game 7 for a Toronto-based team in a championship round since the Maple Leafs hoisted Lord Stanley's Cup in 1964. And I don't want to go too deep into Leafs playoff history because that's a rough conversation and a separate conversation. And all of this, like I put all this on one screen, because all of this is historical stuff. It doesn't matter to what happens on the field in this game. But what this does matter is to all the Dodger fans who've been around the longest, who've been around and watching since 1958, and who understand that they've got a pretty good success rate in winner-take-all postseason games, or the fact that Toronto sports fans haven't necessarily been in this type of situation in Game 7 for all the marbles, and the last time they were, they certainly recognize what happens, or what happened. One win, one game separated the Jays and Dodgers in the regular seasons of 2025. The Jays had 94 wins. The Dodgers had 93 wins. And guess what? Before I talk about one game obviously separating the winner in the World Series too, yes, that's true. But how did we get to Toronto hosting games 6 and 7? And even the series starting in Toronto? Because they won a single more baseball game this year. And for as often as we go back on a regular season and say, well, Thursday's game is a throwaway and it doesn't matter, every single win this year mattered for the Jays because it earned them the opportunity to play a Game 7 at home tonight instead of being at Dodger Stadium, to have the last at-bats, to sleep in your own beds, to have the home fans behind you. So the Dodgers won one less game, one fewer game this year. And that's the reason they're in this position in the regular season. So regular seasons obviously do matter. And when they were determining the home field advantage via the All-Star game for Major League Baseball, I don't know, a decade and a half ago, it goes to show you how relevant that is in a situation like tonight when you're playing a Game 7 and the series has been that close. One game is the reason why we're here tonight in Toronto. Well, the Jays had a bye into the ALDS, right? So they had some time off before getting their playoff legs under them. Saturday's going to be Toronto's 14th playoff game in the last 20 days. Now, that's a pretty regular pace for Major League Baseball. 14 games in 20 days, actually, it's a little bit light, if we're being honest. But for baseball players, they like routine, they like repetition, they like playing games. Saturday, tonight, marks the Dodgers' 15th playoff game in the last 29 days. Think about that for just a second. That's one game every other day. A lot of starting and stopping. They were off for about a week, even entering this World Series. They were off for 7 days, I want to say. So the Dodgers have been more prone to getting rusty, right? They've had more rest, but they haven't necessarily got rusty, I don't think. I think they had a tough entry into the World Series, losing Game 1 and kind of feeling all of those feelings up in Toronto for Game 1. But that's been hard on the Dodgers to only play 15 games in 29 days where the Jays have been on more of a routine, repetitious schedule. Could tonight be the final start of Hall of Famer Max Scherzer's career? He'll become the 5th oldest pitcher to start a winner-take-all World Series Game 7. He is 41 years, 95 days old. And we thought Max Scherzer's prior start in this series may have been it. Who knew we'd get to a Game 7? But here he is, most likely in this Game 7 starting situation. It'll be Shohei Ohtani's second career start on 3 days rest tonight, if in fact he is the starting pitcher. That's what we're expecting. Ohtani lost Game 4 back on Tuesday, throwing 93 pitches. He allowed 4 runs, right? But I think he came out of the game with only 2, and then 2 more were credited to him in 6 innings. His 97.5-mile-an-hour four-seam velocity in Game 4 was his lowest since August 20th, 97.2. Not a lot of difference there. But the point is, at this juncture of the season, where Ohtani's at, what he's been through, wasn't pitching the entire year, just started doing that, the fatigue of playing, I get it, the Dodgers have had 14 games in almost 30 days, so he's had some rest in between, but my goodness, Shohei Ohtani is got one last opportunity, and he's going to have one last burst here with this start on just 3 days rest. Second career start for him on 3 days rest. You cannot imagine he's going to go much longer than 4 innings in this game, and that's probably in an optimal situation in terms of pitches. They need him to hit too, right? With the Jays' victory, they would remain one of just 2 teams to play in multiple World Series and win all of them. By the way, what's the other team that's won every World Series they've played in? It's the Marlins, if you can believe it, twice. But this would be the Jays' 3rd title in 3 World Series appearances, 92, 93, and if they can get it, 2025. Meantime, as I mentioned before, LA is vying to become Major League Baseball's first repeat champion since the 2000 Yankees. And they're trying to become the first National League team to repeat, like a lot of the American League teams have been repeating, but the first National League team to repeat since the 1976 Cincinnati Reds. All right, there you go. More than 10 minutes of facts and figures and information, and hopefully a little excitement to get you going for Game 7. I'm looking forward to this. I don't really have a horse in the race. I guess I wanted a Game 7 optimally, maybe not how we got here, all the back and forth, but I can see the frustration on both sides. I can see how bad they want it. I understand that. I'm just rooting for baseball to have a really good Game 7 to kind of match what they've had so far, a really good 6 prior games to get us here. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Put that in the comments section below. Maybe a prediction down there of tonight's Game 7. Also, thumbs up on this video helps me the video on the channel. And don't forget, if you're new here and you haven't seen me before, I'd love to get you back. Hit that subscribe button so I can definitely see you back here next time.